What's going on, boys and girls? So today, my drive vlog, if you will, drive vlog number 2, I had a question for the community out there, and then I'm also going to make it kind of more of a techie update instead of a car update. This is going to be for the Cisco guys that know everything about everything Cisco, obviously, and how the inner workings of some of their networking products work. So I have an access point in my house, not really needed, obviously. Really gotta quit saying obviously. But it does provide way better coverage than my router with integrated wireless. And this access point runs in autonomous mode. Everything's set up on it. It runs great. It's an AC access point, so it gets me that upgrade on my already existing gigabit router, because I really had a hard time just throwing away a router that has a gigabit switch in it. And all my devices in my house run great on it. No issues whatsoever. Aside from one, my Xbox One, which was the primary device that I wanted this access point put in place for. And I know Xbox One is not an AC device, but it does do 802.11n. And I wanted good coverage for that spectrum for my Xbox, not only for gaming, really the gaming side of things, it wouldn't make that big of a difference, more for media streaming off of my home server. And therein lies my problem. Actually, it goes beyond the home server issue, but the problem is when I boot my Xbox One up, a lot of times you'll know instantly that it's not connected to the network correctly. And doing a speed check on it out of the networking menu will prove so. It'll pull barely up to half a meg. Oddly enough, the upload speed is not affected at all. My upload is rated at about 4.25, which is on par with my ISP. So with this crippled state, if you will, of a connection, Xbox Live services typically show that they're not fully up and running. Multiplayer gaming is not even possible. And when you launch the Media Player app out of the Xbox One, none of my DLNA devices show up in the network. Typically, a reboot of the device fixes this, but not always. What I think I've found as a fix so far, after spending a few hours with my access point, trying different configurations and disabling and enabling extra settings to maybe help the access point associate better with devices, or that one device. What I think I found as the answer is disabling instant on my Xbox. Being that is actually working now, or at least it hasn't failed yet, my thought is this: when Xbox One goes to sleep versus being off, it's requesting a very low data rate from the access point, and so the access point provides only that data rate to the device. Then when you wake the device up, the access point doesn't know any better to reinstate all other data rates to the Xbox One, and I'm left with a crippled connection. Now, half a meg would obviously not be a standard data rate for any Cisco device. I think on this access point, on the 5 gigahertz channel, your lowest data rate's 6 meg. I could be wrong there, I don't remember off the top of my head. Do any of you guys out there who are Cisco pros know of a way to overcome this? What I'm assuming is when I disable the instant on, and after playing with the Xbox, I shut it down, being that the Xbox gets totally shut down, it disassociates from the AP until next time when it boots up and it gets a new association and it comes up at full data rate. So does this sound like I'm on par with that? Does that sound realistic? And if it does, is there any way that you all know of to disable this and get it to refresh that device for all data rates possible when it comes out of sleep mode? Today is National Donut Day, one of my favorite days of the entire year. Now, if you thought National Donut Day was just a day for Americans to find an excuse to be fat and eat icing-covered pastries, you would be wrong. The day is actually supposed to celebrate the Salvation Army, who provided baked pastries to our troops during World War I. They would set up shop in abandoned warehouses and shops and houses and facilities, basically, that were near the front lines during the war, and they would bake anything from donuts, obviously, to bread or cupcakes or muffins, anything to provide some nourishment for the troops. And of course, donuts just make you feel better about what you're doing, especially when you're at war. So go on ahead, fire up Google or Bing if you're somebody like me who takes those Bing points, and type in National Donut Day, and I'm sure you'll find at least 500,000 articles. And in some of those articles, you're going to find a place near you in your area that you can score a free donut today. Other thing I wanted to bring up today, and this isn't really new news by any means. If you were a preview tester for Microsoft for the Windows 10 launch, you've already got this. But for the general public now, if you make sure that your Windows 7 or Windows 8 device is fully up to date, you should see down by your clock on the taskbar a little icon that looks like the old Windows icon. It looks very similar to the Windows 8 icon, actually very edgy and plain color, not the wavy Windows icon that's basically the legacy icon now. You're going to find that icon down by your clock, and if you click on that, or if you click on the notification bubble that comes up, you will be greeted with a registration window to throw in your email and get yourself signed up for a free upgrade to Windows 10. Now this is a big first for Microsoft. Usually you're paying, what, $150 to get your OS updated on your computer if your computer supports it. Windows 10, system requirement wise, is not that much different from Windows 8. A lot of the devices out there are going to be upgradable. Only really some of your ARM devices that are running Windows RT are not going to be able to get the Windows 10 upgrade. Microsoft kind of scrapped Windows RT because it never really caught on, and they've managed to make Windows 10 lightweight enough, I suppose, to move forward with that OS platform for tablets. Definitely do that. Make sure you take a backup of your stuff, though, obviously, before you install Windows 10. If you don't like it, obviously you want to be able to roll back to Windows 7 or 8, depending on your advice. I'm going to take full advantage of it. I think it's going to be a very slick UI. I like a lot of the extra features. I like Cortana being integrated into it. I just think it's going to be a very good OS. If you think about it, Microsoft kind of goes in a cycle with their OSs that are actually relevant. Let's take it back to Windows 98. Super stable OS, even up to the second edition, of course. And then you got Windows Millennium. Everybody hated it. I didn't have problems with it. I don't know what everybody else's issues were. Maybe I just wasn't doing things right with it and it worked. Then you've got, arguably, you've got Windows 2000. That was more of a private sector, corporate enterprise OS. That never really got rolled out to the public that much because you got Windows XP that came out for the general mass public. Windows XP obviously lived a very, 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 very long time. Longer than it should have. Windows Vista, worthless. It was a pig of an OS. It was basically the Windows 7 that we know today. That graphical interface laid into a choked down version of Windows XP. And then you get Windows 7. Windows 7's been around for a little bit now. It is still your go-to OS for the corporate world, the enterprise world, and familiarity-wise, most of your consumers are still leaning on Windows 7. That's not really an option anymore when you go to the store. You're very lucky to even find a desktop or a laptop that's still running Windows 7, but it's what everybody knows, because it's not that different from Windows XP when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it. It just runs way better. Windows 8. Windows 8 obviously upgraded to Windows 8.1 for good reason. Windows 8 was very clunky in the beginning when it came out. Windows 8.1 kind of polished that up and made a lot of the UI make more sense. I like Windows 8. The switching back and forth with the desktops and stuff, that can be annoying. For my job, Windows 8's probably still not the best choice. I can get around a lot better in Windows 7, but for my personal devices, Windows 8 isn't bad. Windows 10 is going to blend what we know about Windows 7 and what we refuse to let go about Windows 7 and blend that into what they've got going on with Windows 8. Personally, I think that's a really good idea. I think that's going to get more people to switch over. Plus, obviously, with it being free, people are going to take advantage of anything free, like donuts. And I think Windows 10 is just going to be a little less of a scare factor of an upgrade for the average consumer. Anyway, if your computer is fully up to date, most computers have Windows Update turned on automatically. I'll list the KB articles down in the description below, so that way you know what KBs to look for or to avoid if you're not wanting the Windows 10 upgrade. I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you think your computer is up to date and you still haven't seen that little icon down by your clock, just hit start, and in the very bottom box that you can search in, just type in Windows Update. It should be the #1 hit for your computer. Click on that and make sure that any marked important or optional updates are installed by clicking on the check for updates link. I am in shock. I have not run into one crazy idiot on the road today. So we're here at Dunkin' Donuts and I'm gonna go get me my free donut. Now at Dunkin' Donuts, you actually have to purchase a beverage to get your free donut on donut day. And I feel like maybe an iced coffee because I actually have hot coffee in my thermos.
Morning, welcome to Dunkin' Donuts. What can we make you to drink today?
Today is National Donut Day, is it not?
It is.
Awesome.
What can we get for you?
So I gotta get a drink, right? And
Yes, you do.
and let me get a iced coffee.
What donut would you like?
Could I get a chocolate Long John?
All right, we can handle that. And anything else for you today?
That'll do it.
All righty, we'll see you at the window, please.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Such nice people for 5 o'clock in the morning. I would never be so chipper. Getting dripped on.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good.
Hey, it's going to be $2.72 for you, please. There you go. There's that chocolate Long John. The icings
Awesome.
are still kind of wet. It's going to be humid today, so I put it in a box for you.
Great.
There you go. You have
Thank you much. You too.
Thanks.
Such nice people. And that guy's took my spot again. So anyway, guys, that's my time for today. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like and consider throwing a comment down below. And if you really did, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And until next time, it's just another day at the office for me.